Robinson is in as a receiver. They toss to the back of the end zone. Caught! Touchdown, Jacksonville!
Well, let's just say that it hasn't taken very long for some teams out there to quickly experience buyer's remorse after making a huge blockbuster offseason move that was supposed to improve their postseason hopes. Today, we're diving into 10 offseason moves from 2024 that NFL teams are already regretting.
Evans targeted 6 times today, only 3 catches. And now Brady under pressure, and he's brought down.
Falcons signed Kirk Cousins for $180 million. There's quite a lot to unpack here about Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons offseason quarterback fiasco. Here's the deal. If you pay a quarterback $180 million, that includes $100 million of it being guaranteed, you commit to him long term. And if you use a first-round pick, especially a top 10 selection on a quarterback, yeah, you make him your long-term guy. Newsflash, you can't have both. You don't pay someone 9 figures and use a number 8 selection on a signal caller. You just don't. But I guess don't tell that to the Falcons. A month after winning the Cousins free agent sweepstakes, they used the number 8 pick on Washington quarterback Michael Penix Jr. At the time, literally everyone was baffled by the Penix Jr. pick. But you know, in hindsight, that Penix Jr. pick may not be so bad after all, because Kirk Cousins ain't it in Atlanta. The Falcons won 6 of their first 9 games and already look poised to run away with the NFC South. Captain Kirk had 17 touchdowns over those 9 games, and then after that, well, the collapse was on. After the Dallas win, the Falcons lost 3 straight games with Cousins throwing 0 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, including a 4-pick outing against the Los Angeles Chargers. So, in other words, Atlanta is paying $180 million for an average to below average version of an NFL quarterback. Yeah, Cousins is going to be 37 next year, but we are not convinced that he'll be their full-time starter in 2025. So imagine this instead. What if Atlanta just never paid Cousins? Instead, they just drafted Penix Jr. and made him the starter right away. Hey, just saying, they would have saved themselves at least $100 million. Trevor Lawrence gets $275 million extension. The Jacksonville Jaguars had more than enough time to ponder their options with Trevor Lawrence, who is only entering the 4th season of his 5-year rookie deal. Extending T-Law before 2025 was risky, considering his up-and-down career performances, including a forgettable rookie year, a cold-then-hot sophomore year, followed up by a hot-then-cold 2023 season. In particular, last season's second-half collapse should have made 2024 a prove-it year for Lawrence, but instead, the Jaguars inexplicably gave their quarterback a 5-year contract extension worth $275 million, which included $200 million of it being guaranteed. But the Jaguars inexplicably gave their quarterback a 5-year contract extension worth $275 million, including $200 million of that being guaranteed. I don't know about you, but to me, that seems awfully generous for a guy who has yet to throw for 4,200 yards or 30 touchdowns in a single season. Fast forward to now, and it already looks like it could go down as the biggest mistake in Jaguars history. Before suffering a concussion that ended his 2024 season early, Lawrence had a stat line quite similar to his nightmare rookie year. That being a 2-10 record, a 60.6 completion percentage, and 11 touchdowns against 7 interceptions. T-Law averaged a pedestrian 204.5 passing yards per game, even fewer than his 2021 average of 214.2. Did we mention that Lawrence's $275 million deal doesn't even kick in until 2026? Oh boy. Yeah. Good luck with that, Jags Nation. You're gonna need it. Panthers trade Brian Burns to Giants. The Carolina Panthers really didn't learn their lesson with the Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore trades. That is, if you have a franchise superstar young and in his prime, you try to keep him. But of course, the Panthers had no interest in paying superstar edge rusher Brian Burns long term. In the offseason, they dealt the team MVP to the New York Giants for the surprisingly low price of a 2024 second and 2025 fifth-round picks, plus a swap of 2024 fifth-rounders. Burns continues to produce like a superstar, as expected for the Giants. Meanwhile, the Panthers rank near the very bottom in team sacks with 0 game-changing players on the defensive side of the ball. Maybe a bad time to mention that in 2022, the Panthers rejected the Los Angeles Rams' offer of 2 first-round picks plus a second-rounder for Burns. Ooh, how y'all doing, Carolina fans? I do not know how you put up with it. Las Vegas Raiders signed Gardner Minshew II. After a pretty decent season filling in for an injured Anthony Richardson in Indianapolis, Minshew signed a 2-year deal with the Las Vegas Raiders worth $25 million. After signing Minshew, it was assumed that the Raiders would target a quarterback in the first round of the draft. Michael Penix Jr., Bo Nix, and J.J. McCarthy were among the candidates Vegas could have traded up for. But no, they just wanted Minshew to compete with sophomore Aiden O'Connell for the starting QB job. As if the Raiders were going to become contenders with Minshew or AOC going up against Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and Mr. Nix himself in the AFC West. Minshew was, to be blunt, downright awful before suffering a collarbone fracture that ended his season. The mustache lost 7 of 9 starts and threw for 9 touchdowns against 10 interceptions, posting a career-low passer rating of 81.0. So, the Raiders wasted excellent seasons from Max Crosby and Brock Bowers by again neglecting the QB position. Jeez, just imagine if they, chose a quarterback in round 1 and offered fans some hope for the future. The 2025 QB draft class is kind of weak outside of Shedeur Sanders and Carson Beck. So if the Raiders don't get one of those guys, good luck. Another year of Minshew and O'Connell? Man, Raiders fans can only hope that is not the case. Jets draft Olu Fashanu. The Jets quickly went to work in reshaping their offensive line, landing 3 quality veterans in Morgan Moses, John Simpson, and future Hall of Famer Tyron Smith. Again, we know that hindsight is 2020, but come on, taking a boomer bust offensive tackle prospect in Olu Fashanu when the Jets already had enough linemen? It just looks like a massive mistake in hindsight, especially when we see the other mega studs that the Jets passed on. Fashanu has mostly disappointed in a rotational role during a disastrous Jets season. But hey, we're just throwing it out there. Just imagine if they took someone like, Brock Bowers, who is currently having a historic rookie year for the Raiders. Or how about another stud pass rusher like Jared Verse to complement Quinnen Williams, or Jags star wideout Brian Thomas Jr. And if the Jets had someone like Bowers or Thomas, they wouldn't have sunk further by making the hopeless trade for Devontae Adams. And even if they ditch Aaron Rodgers after the season, at least the next QB would have had a receiving tandem of Garrett Wilson and either Bowers or Thomas to work around. Oh well, at least the Jets looked decent for a couple of weeks early in the season. Titans make win-now trade for L'Jarius Sneed. The cap-strapped Kansas City Chiefs were unable to pay Sneed the money that he wanted with his rookie deal. So, the back-to-back Super Bowl champions traded their star cornerback to the Tennessee Titans for a 2025 third-round pick and a swap of 2024 seventh-rounders. Tennessee then signed Sneed to a 4-year contract extension worth $76.4 million. Suffice to say, it didn't take long for the Titans to feel buyer's remorse. Sneed played 5 games before suffering a quad injury that forced him to miss most of the year. Before that injury, Sneed had a woeful 36.3 Pro Football Focus grade that ranked 203rd out of 212 cornerbacks. I need y'all to think about that for a moment. According to Pro Football Reference, he also allowed a 91.8 passer rating when targeted, and Sneed's getting nearly $20 million a year for that kind of production. Also, Tennessee might actually finish with the best pass defense in football, and that is without Sneed for most of the season. So, in other words, they're actually a much better unit when he's not on the field. Remind us again why they gave up a valuable third-round pick for him. Jaguars hand Arik Armstead $43.5 million. Looking to improve their front seven, the Jaguars moved quickly to sign the ex-San Francisco 49ers star following his surprise release from the defending NFC champs. Armstead signed a 3-year deal with the Jags worth $43.5 million. The move was interesting, to say the least, since Jacksonville already had a loaded pass rush led by Trayvon Walker, Josh Hines-Allen, and Foye Oluokun. Sure enough, Armstead has hardly contributed on one of football's worst defensive units. Armstead had 1 sack through his first 12 games and was moved to a rotational role because of his lackluster production. Armstead has also only played less than half of Jacksonville's snaps on defense this season. So, remind us why exactly they gave him money when the O-line and secondary were much bigger needs? Jets swing a blockbuster trade for Hassan Reddick. After losing star edge rusher Bryce Huff to the Philadelphia Eagles in free agency, the Jets thought they were making up for it by acquiring the 2-time Pro Bowler in a massive trade. New York sent a conditional 2026 third-round pick to Philly for Reddick, who racked up 50.5 sacks over the previous 4 years. I mean, come on, this was the perfect win-now move in the Aaron Rodgers competitive window, right? Oh man, if only that was the case. Reddick, entering a contract season, wanted a new deal from the Jets, and the Jets refused to give it to him. It was basically a stare-down contest contest to see who would blink first. Reddick finally gave in, agreed to a new deal, and debuted in Week 8 against the New England Patriots. And of course, Reddick has done next to nothing to help the Jets defense amid a disastrous season. And to think, they gave up a valuable third-round pick to get half a season out of a guy who was supposed to help them compete for a Super Bowl. Oh, yikes. Cincinnati Bengals draft Amarius Mims in round 1. Entering the 2024 NFL Draft, the Bengals had 2 rock-solid veteran offensive tackles in Orlando Brown Jr. and Trent Brown. So ideally, a team in win-now mode would draft a player who would produce right away. Obviously, there was no way of predicting that Trent Brown's season-ending knee injury would actually occur, but, hey, the point still stands. Why did Cincy take another risky prospect when they had other needs, particularly on defense and wide receiver with T. Higgins on his way out? Anyways, Mims has been just kinda okay as one of Cincy's bookends. But since this list allows us to use the benefit of hindsight, I think it's safe to say that the Bengals would have gone elsewhere with this pick. Their pathetic defense is wasting MVP-like years from Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. So just imagine if they had, took a stud pass rusher like Jared Verse to help Trey Hendrickson. Or maybe an elite shutdown corner like Quinion Mitchell or Cooper DeJean. Or what if they took Brian Thomas Jr. as Higgins' eventual replacement? Xavier Worthy, Keon Coleman, or Ladd McConkey also would have all been better picks than Mims. Just saying. Literally everything the Dallas Cowboys did. Why specify just one of Jerry Jones's many disastrous moves when we can fit it all into one? After the Cowboys' wild card round loss to the Green Bay Packers, Jones stated that his team would have an all-in approach to this offseason. Well, that promise sure aged worse than milk, and we really hope that ESPN does a 30 for 30 on it one day. Alright, so where do we start? How about Jones not making a single blockbuster trade or free agent signing in the offseason? After losing star running back Tony Pollard in free agency, his master plan was to bring back a fading Ezekiel Elliott. Yippee! And remember when Jerry said the Cowboys didn't sign Derrick Henry because they couldn't afford it? Who said they didn't have the resources? And heck, Henry wanted to go to Dallas. Jones talked about needing to save cap space to extend CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. Lamb was signed at the end of August, and Dak signed his deal before the Week 1 opener. And yeah, sure enough, Prescott's $240 million extension looks like a bit of a mess. Yeah, not sure about you, but something tells us that Prescott would have chosen to leave in 2025 free agency if he didn't put the pen to the paper. Even with Dallas' season on the ropes leading up to the trade deadline, Jerry didn't make a single trade. For whatever reason, he thinks a team with a losing record is enough to win a Super Bowl? Somebody out there please make it make sense. Jones misread the market and had to pay Lamb and Prescott a lot more compared to if he got the deals done in March. But hey, at least he showed loyalty to Zeke by bringing him back for another year. And man, can I just say, we really look forward to hearing Jones's next lame excuse about why he couldn't go all in. Never a dull moment with this guy. But hey, which other 2024 offseason moves are NFL teams already regretting? Were there any notable ones that we may have missed? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, then clicking that like button helps us out a ton. And we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.